How far has BMW Superbike technology come in 50 years? We're at Barber Motorsports Park to find out. We have a 1972 BMW R75/5, a faithful Butler & Smith replica from 1972. And this is BMW's latest M1000 RR. Full electronic suite, massive brakes, huge tires, aerodynamic aids. I'm gonna spend the next 4 days racing this bike at Barber Vintage Festival, and then I'm gonna do a track day on the M1000 RR with Nate Kern's RR Fest. How big a change between this and this? Obviously a lot, but what's the magic here and what's the magic here? This 1972 BMW is so awesome. This mustache popped out of my face. So I'm just driving out onto Audubon Country Club in Joliet, Illinois. I'm here as a test for racing at ARMA at Barber Vintage Festival and BMW Motorrad Days Americas. You know, Barber Vintage Fest is one of the great events in the, on the calendar for motorcycle racing of any kind. And I get to race a 1972 BMW R75/5, owned by ARMA Executive Director Dan May. It's a beautifully prepared bike. This is the first time I've got to see it in person. This is my test, and unfortunately, it's raining. Well, that was awesome.
What'd you think?
Yeah, it was really good. Super consistent, like really balanced chassis front and rear. Obviously not revving it a lot, but the bike's just really well prepared and really well balanced. Brakes are real predictable. I've spent 1,000,000 miles riding a 74 Norton Commando on the road, and this is like 300% better in terms of the way the chassis feels and is planted. It's sort of similar but better braking feel. You know, it's not super sport. I mean, it's just amazing. It was a very good first session, really a lot of fun. And the traction was actually, toward the end, I was getting good confidence, giving it a little more throttle. I'm not trail braking super hard. Well, so sorry.
So you joined the club. Sorry about that. Where did you go down, in 7?
Just in 1.
On 1. Oh, that's pretty tight.
That's actually 2.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's 2, of course it's 2. It felt real similar to every other time I'd entered, but on no previous lap had the bike moved on the tires at all. And then, I mean, it felt virtually identical going into that corner.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gone. So.
You had to go all the way down or just on your knee?
Oh no, I went down.
Okay. Got seat time, and that's what's important.
Got a ton of laps.
Well,
and I crashed first to make him get used to the idea.
Soften him a little bit, kick him in the nuts.
like new, photo ready.
Wet track I've never seen, bike I've never ridden.
New leathers.
Brand new leathers, yeah. It's all stacking up. It was great to get any seat time on the bike, but it poured almost all day, and I ended up with about 30 minutes of seat time on a wet track. I also ended my test with a crash, so I'd be heading to Barber with a lot less confidence than I hoped.
Hey, good morning, everybody. We're at Barber. We're gonna have 4 days of fun.
ARMA's multi-discipline. We do road racing, off-road, which consists of motocross trials, cross-country, and we do flat track. All of our disciplines are here this weekend.
Practice group number 2, this is your first call. Getting me during the most beautiful time of getting dressed. This was my first time at Barber, and coming off my rainy test day, I'm a little nervous but ready to get my practice session started. Fortunately, I'm racing in 2 classes with this bike, Formula 750 and Bears, or British European American Racing Series. I get 4 practice sessions a day over 2 days to help me learn the track and the bike, and then 2 races a day on Saturday and Sunday. Plenty of track time to get it right, or have it go wrong. It's the first session of the day for me, rolling out. Busy paddock today. I'm going to give you a little bit of an impression of Barber, which is a fantastic racetrack, first time here, and also this motorcycle, which is my first time kind of riding it in anger. 93 degrees, it's nice. Running temperature is 200 degrees, so I doubt we'll see that this morning. We'll probably get up to 180. Makes power basically from 45 to 8. It's phenomenal. All right, here we go. Hot pit. Oh, she's coughing a little bit. She's cold. I'm cold. She's cold. Very green track this morning, right? Brakes feel good. I checked them sitting still. We're just going to check the blend. Make sure nobody's coming. And we're going to take her easy.
How'd it go, Mark?
Good, man.
No, it was really good. It was an interesting turn of events. I was supposed to follow Paul Elledge out, and he looked like he had carburetors, you know, like a rich mixture or something, so he had to pull in it. But there I was, leading Group 2 practice, the first bike on the track, and not by intent, but it was really good. The track walk yesterday with Nate Kern, super informative. It's a beautiful track. It was my first session, you know, I'm like building the picture of what's going on and where to be. The good news is, like, you never want the bike to be in the way of what you're doing. That's the whole idea with the race bike. What's great about this motorcycle is what a tool it is. It doesn't get in the way. It does what I ask. It goes fast doing it. Goal for next session is working on particularly brake markers. Have to be mindful. They're vintage brakes. I mean, they're new, but they're not Brembo Stylema. There's a different speed of heat dissipation, so there's nothing point and shoot here.
Yeah, this morning is basically get to know the track first, because it's dangerous and wet, and then this afternoon we'll start to really go.
The brake markers are your friends. But the bike sounded good after about 4 laps. It seemed to clear its throat. I saw you pulling out of Charlotte's Web. I mean, you were gapping guys behind you. So
Good.
Nobody wins practice, except for Dan May.
Cameras make that less than graceful.
Practice group number 2, this is your first call.
So second session, much more buttoned down. The track is warmer, super stoked about that. The bike just feels really stuck in. It's such a good motorcycle.
Grippy Continental Road Attack 3 CRs on there.
Keep them on warmers. They're not super hot. They're just hot, ready to go. So I felt like the progress there was I have confidence where the track is going now. You know, the advantage I have with Dan's bike is a really well-developed bike. Millennium cylinders, you know, Nicocil coated, fresh valve job. It's a really great running bike and has very broad power. I think it's a very strong 750, so that's a real advantage. I see we're waiting. What are the lap times? I don't know yet. My best lap was 5 or 6 seconds faster than the first session in the morning. I have a lot better idea where I'm going. Plenty of work still to do. Plenty of fast guys in my group, but really pleased with my results and super fun to ride. I'm just thinking about my lap and riding, applying the brakes, all the things that you need to do to operate the motorcycle. You don't want the bike to distract you from your job, and it's definitely not. So it's good. It's all on me. That's the burden. It's all on me. Lap 2 and 3 were exactly the same. I mean, exactly the same. There's so many places that you can make a ton of time if you're just gonna put yourself in the right spot on the track, and it's very low risk, and it ends up with high terminals, so you can really get people, like going into Charlotte's Web. It's such a slow corner, you don't have to like get the entrance right, you can just get into it.
Charlotte's Web, you can definitely stuff people on the inside,
Yeah.
and it'll break both your momentum, but you'll get out ahead of him, right?
Yeah.
So you'll lose overall lap time, but you'll gain a position in there. As long as you set it up right,
Yeah.
that's a good passing spot.
For me personally, I'm very excited about the amount of time I've dropped. I am in the pack of bikes, mid to rear, but I'm there. And I've done 4 sessions, so I have all practice tomorrow as much as I want of those 4 sessions to really now work on putting everything together. One thing I have with this motorcycle is a real advantage in tractability. It's so well tuned, the power is really broad. Gosh, it just pulls and it's awesome. You know, Dan's raced this for years and years, I think 12 years, and he's super familiar with it, but I'm not. And he said, I'm gonna, you know, he didn't ask me, he just put these strips of tape on the tack. And that's my happy zone right there. Don't go past the red, don't go below the white. And that's where action happens. And if you keep it in here, it's a beauty. We threw it on the dyno, we'll share that with you. The air fuel is basically perfect. You know, you stick a sniffer in the tailpipe and it goes straight lines when this thing's, you know, pulling on the dyno and making highly competitive horsepower. It's awesome. But really excited about the paddock atmosphere. I mean, we got perfect weather. We have a perfect track. Like, the track is amazing, and the swap meet's amazing. Like, Vintage Festival is off the hook, and I've spent quite a bit of time in the paddock because I'm terrified of being late for a practice or not having my stuff together, so I'm not far afield. But the ambiance here and the help that everybody in the paddock has given to me and the friendliness, and it's very cool to have a lot of people come up and say, we really like your podcast with Kevin Kern. That stokes me completely. We're heading out on the track. Why would I wear a Tech Air 7 airbag vest? Because in the immortal words of Kevin Schwantz when he retired in 1994, I don't bounce like I used to. It's good for everybody, but I'm extra comfortable being not 30 anymore. We'll just say not 30. Oh, that was good. Just a warm up for the day, but I was doing the same times as I did in the 4 session yesterday, so super happy with that. Bike solid as ever. It's a beautiful torque curve, so in the class that I'm practicing with, it's really got motor on a lot of stuff, so there's places like out of Charlotte's Web where you can very safely pass people just because it has a beautiful broad torque curve. Checked the plugs earlier, they're looking good. We were inspecting the inside of the carburetor because there's a little bit of nice flow work on the carburetor part, so he was showing me why it fuels so well at high RPM and it's a little rich down low. We don't need down low. It actually makes it easy to start once the day's going. You don't need choke or anything, you just kind of give it a little snap. And then once it's going, you just hold it up. It'll 8-stroke at low RPM because it's so rich. It was pop, 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 pop. And then once you clear a little bit, you get 3,000-4,000. It just starts running really nice. It's jetted, I think, perfectly. We kicked up to Group 3 for a practice because my lap time's in Group 2. Group 2 is with slower bikes mostly a smaller displacement than what this bike is. So it was good for me to get up to speed, figure out the track. I would go out in the beginning of the session and not have too much traffic. Some very quick people in that group, but also my times were more indicative of the class I'm racing, and the practice for the class I'm racing is Group 3. And so they gave me a 3 sticker based on the lap time. So I got into the sort of the low 52s. And then I went out with Group 3 in my last session and zipped on out there, and I got a 49.1, specifically working on braking because I was leaving a lot on the table so far. So I really focused on that and track position and getting through some of those faster sections. The final section came together pretty well for me. It's a tricky, like, kind of an S chicane thing, and then you crest this kind of blind rise, and you really got to ride right over that. You're not really slowing down too much. You got to ride right over that and get right into the next turn, and then you carousel around onto the front straight. Fastest times I've done of the day, they were all faster than my previous fastest and fast times, so I was consistent with it. It was cool to ride with the Honda 750. It looked like a Dick Mann replica, and it was it had motor. You know, it made it more challenging to keep up with that guy because he had drive. I thought, oh, I'll get him on the front straight because that's where I was getting people before. Nope, he's cornering really well. I got on early, I thought, and boy, there's no way I was going past him into one. So what do you say? It's racing, but everybody has a job. We're trying to be courteous, swift, have a good time, and then we'll see how it turns out on the track. So final practice session of the whole weekend. I'm very happy. My goal was 49s, and I've done it, and I've done it consistently in the last session before we go racing. So I'm super stoked about that. I'm tired. It's just exciting to come to terms with the bike, feel pretty good about the track, and be ready to just, you know, do the deed in the morning. We got 2 races. Everybody I come across is just really cool, and there's so many great bikes. It's cool. Like, it's just such a cool mix. Really fun.
Hope everyone got some rest last night. Again, riders meeting at 7:15.
We're gonna go to the 1, sideways, green, boom, boom, boom. On your mark, get set, go. And I'm gonna use that cadence every time.
Go have fun, have a great race day.
Make it exciting. We're getting ready. We're the first race, green track, stiff cold leathers. Just warmed the bike up, started the warmers an hour ago. Pretty frantic. First race of the day, 8 o'clock. I am last row on the left. I have no points from the season, so that's how you grid for this race here. It's gonna treat this like a warm up for Bears, which is the 3rd race, because no one's been on the track yet, but we're good.
This is your learn how to do things race.
Yep, it's my learning race, and also it's a green track. How exciting.
Tires are warm. Head out. Hey.
Go, Marco! Woo!
Awesome. 147, that's 2.5 seconds better than he did in practice. 5th overall, that's fantastic. If he runs the same pace, he should win it. And I'm not going to tell him that. But yeah, at that pace, if he can get down to the 47s, that's top of the podium pace for that race. Ran a 47. Oh, sweet. Yes! You got 5th overall, man. That's awesome. Is that you bouncing off the rev limiter at the end?
Maybe once. I know you lowered it.
Now you know how the track is.
Yep.
and couldn't have done better. He ran a 47, man. Awesome.
Yeah, it felt good.
And you learned how to wheelie.
Yeah, I did, yeah. I'm like, huh, that,
On the start.
that came in pretty quick. I'm like, we'll think about that next time.
Again, wave 3, so you're gonna have 2 go in front, and then you're gonna be the back. The really fast guys in wave 1, I don't think they're gonna catch you. So since you're last row, we're gonna be working through some traffic.
Super stoked. I won Bears, and that was awesome. I had to start on the back of the grid because I have no points. The bike is so good. The bike, I can't thank Dan and Arma for having me here to do this, because the bike's amazing. Like, there's no barrier from the motorcycle, so getting out there, I had my first race in the morning with F750, but I wheelied on the first start in the first race. This race, I'm like, just be cool, just do what you always do, just feel it out, strong, but not crazy. Man, I just ate people going into turn 1, made a few passes through there, and then it was traffic, and I had some guys, chasing me. One guy passed me back. He got me going in the last corner, but he was real tight, and I kind of came down, and then I was able to get him actually on the outside on the curbing, and then I just took it real deep into one. And as I recall, that might be the last, I think that was the last one of those. And then a guy on the Norton passed me. He was riding great, and I got him back, and we got into traffic, and I just really was like, I'm protecting my braking zones, because when you're racing with somebody and you're like, oh, I got to get that guy, you're like, I'll go a little deeper. When you're by yourself, that's when you're riding the track. Like, that's what you work on when you go out and practice, especially a place you haven't seen before. You have to figure out your time versus the track, not other riders. Other riders can help you, but ultimately it's in you. You have to figure out what the track is and then ride it. And so that's what's hard, is that discipline. And it's obviously there's still work to be done. That's what's great about racing. There's always work to be done. And really fun race. I can't wait to talk to the guys I raced with, because they were rad. They were congratulating me at the end, and they were thumbs up, number 1, you're the man. And I was like, thanks so much, you guys, because it was fun racing with you.
And in first place, folks, believe it or not, this guy is from Cycle World Magazine. He is the chief editor of Cycle World Magazine. Has only ridden this bike a half a dozen times. He goes out, blows up the track, and gets first place at Bears, Mr. Mark Hoyer.
That's what's so cool about Barber Vintage Fest, is we're celebrating the history of racing and motorcycling. BMW's here and has a million bikes from their collection, and also all their new bikes and a lot of fans. And of course, we just had Kenny Roberts Jr., Scott Russell, and David Aldana. I got them to sign my shirt. There's so much to celebrate here, and you get to go see your heroes, and that's what's so awesome about this place.
One of the great things about racing with Arma is track time. So after racing twice on Saturday, I got to do it again on Sunday with another win in Bears and a 6th in Formula 750.
In Bears, it's Mark Hoyer over Jake Hall.
It was a great cap to an amazing weekend. And in the morning, I'd be stepping 50 years into the future with BMW's M1000RR.
Super stoked. So, yeah, M1000RR at Barber the day after racing for 4 days. Well, what a gift and what a unique opportunity to experience such a span of time in phenomenal superbikes, And now we have this, we got Top Rack leading the World Championship. I've seen the track, but it's highly likely to feel like a different racetrack, even though I know which way the corners are going. Everything ought to be really, really different.
When you come back in, we'll go through and you'll see you're setting your DTC and your brake engagement, but you're also going to go through and see your max right to left lean angles.
Oh, right on. Cool. Wings. This is big aero. Lots of stuff going on. Huge aerodynamics. We're going to start slow, of course. It's never going to be a race-based day. It's a track day. It's to have fun. It's to learn some things. I still have a lot to learn about the track, especially switching to this bike from a 72 BMW R75. The M1000, after a week of racing a vintage bike, is like a spaceship. It's like no surprise. Okay, yeah, book of duh, but no surprise. Getting back out on the track, basically the line is the same. Like, I feel good about the line. I followed some of the instructors. I'm in the right place. What you have to be is incredibly patient before you pull the trigger. On the vintage bike, you're dealing with 70, 75 horsepower, and the direction you're pointed is important, but it's not as important as it is with the 190 rear wheel. Like, you really have to be set up just right. You can roll out and stuff, but what you want to do is be confident in your direction, and then just giving it as much throttle as you're comfortable with. driving off a corner. Braking, obviously massively different. Lifting the rear wheel already, like in the first session on the M1000, just because they're just beautiful, strong initial bite, and the light pulse. Tires are so different. Trail braking, very much harder. Also, the M1000RR is strangely easier to ride and also harder to ride. It has Shift Assist Pro, so you can go up and down on the shifter, and it grabs gear for you, and it's seamless everywhere. You just do it. The brake effort is lower. The throttle twist is so light and easy to control. You just can relax your body a bit more, and weirdly, it's like equally physical, but in a different way, because the forces you're getting from the small amount of pressure on the brake lever are higher than what you're getting from like, giving it Hercules on the old bike. It's a really interesting combination. I think track position is strangely relative between the bikes. The direction that you're aimed up the track is obviously massively important with a bike that's as fast as the M1000. Ergonomics are great. It's a good foot position. I feel very comfortable on it at the speed that I'm going. I'm going faster than my race laps by quite a bit. No surprise there. And of course, we're dealing with a full suite of electronic rider aids, like top rider aids. So traction control exiting corners, you can feel it working. I have it set relatively high to intervene just as I'm peeling on the throttle, and you know what I'm saying, like how much can I give it in these sections, and you can feel the intervention. You don't hear it, but it just isn't driving as much, and then you pick it up and then whoop, it's on, and then coming down the straight, holy cow, like just wheeling, like we're not wheeling on the old bike, so there's just tons that's different. So engaging and soulful in their own way. Like I love a ripping inline four, I always have, but I also like twins, and it's hard to beat the unmuffled sound of the flat twin. Like that's near and dear. I'm a vintage bike lover, but I've always loved performance as well. And so the opportunity to ride an M1000 and experience the vast chasm of performance, but also how relatable the bikes are. It's still riding motorcycles, it's just different.